afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible and visible? Good afternoon, Abhishek. Shilpa, audible, visible? Am I audible and visible? Good afternoon, Swapna. Thank you, Kennedy. It was fine. Yeah. Uh, good afternoon. Yeah. Can I continue? We were discussing the story of the Buddha. Let some more people join in. Let some more people join in and then I'll begin. Okay. So we were discussing about the Buddha. So we rely entirely on hagiography and allegorical stories connected with the life of the Buddha. Hagiography is religious biography of the Buddha. Hagiography is religious biography, and allegory is the mystery stories connected with the life of the Buddha. I told you, whatever was written about the Buddha was written 200 to 300 years after his death. Whatever was written 200 to 300 years after the death of the Buddha by the Buddhist monks of Sri Lanka, by the Sri Lankan Buddhist monks. And because of this time gap or time lag between his death and what was written about him, lots of facts have got mixed up with fiction. There are three main sources for the study of Buddhism: Ceylonese chronicles, the books of Sri Lanka. We entirely rely on them. Chinese chronicles and Tibetan chronicles. But we rely on Ceylonese chronicles. Dvipavamsha, Mahamamsha by Mahanama, and the Attakatha by Vattagamani. Now, original name we discussed. Original name Siddhartha, father Suddhodana, the elected ruler of Kapilavastu. Mother was Mahamaya or Maya Devi, the princess of the Koshilan dynasty, a princess of the Koshilan kingdom. Gotra, Gautama Gotra. Clan was a Sakya clan. Then we spoke about the dream of Mahamaya, where a white elephant with four tusks, four-tusked white elephant, comes and hands her a lotus flower, and she accepts the lotus flower, and that represents the divine conception of the Buddha. So Mahamaya, by accepting the lotus flower, became pregnant, and the and she had run through the full course of her pregnancy. I told you the royal couple consulted the court astrologers. The royal couple consulted the court astrologers, and they interpreted the dream as the impending birth, as a sign of an impending birth of a great soul who will be either a great king or a great teacher. Said Mahamaya will have a son who will either be a great king or a great teacher. That's how the dream was interpreted. So she had run through the full course of a pregnancy, and the time for delivery had come, right? And she had to travel from where to where? She had to travel from Kapilavastu to Devadaha. Isn't it? So Mahamaya had to travel from Kapilavastu to Devadaha, which was her parental house. Devadaha. And on the way, there was a sal grove. Very shady place. Cool breeze was blowing. And since she was a pregnant lady and couldn't travel continuously, they were taking frequent rest. And the royal party decided to take rest in that sal grove, where there was also a pool, a freshwater pool, Pushkarni pool. So here Mahamaya got into that pool and she took a bath, and as she was about to get out of the pool, as she was about to get out of the pool, the time for delivery had come, right? And so she gave birth to a baby. So you can see here. Now look here on your screen. Now, one of the salt trees, I stopped here, let me continue. One of the salt trees, notice this. One of the salt trees noticed that Mahamaya was about to give birth to a baby. So what did the salt tree do? It bent its trunk. So that holding a branch of the salt tree in a standing position, Mahamaya gave birth to a baby. On your screen, you can see here, Mahamaya is standing. She's holding a branch of the salt tree, right? And she's giving birth to a baby. Hello, are you there with me? And everybody is amazement. Look at this lady. One of the servants, she is looking in amazement at this particular episode. So, holding a branch of the salt tree bent itself, right? Slightly bent its trunk, and holding the branch of the salt tree, she gave birth to a baby. Now, as soon as the baby was born, understand this. As soon as the baby was born, the baby is supposed to have looked in the 8 cardinal directions. The baby looked in the 8 directions, right? And then, in a godlike voice, the baby is supposed to have declared on your screen, I am the leader of the world. I am the leader of the world. I am the guide of the world. This is my final birth. I am the leader of the world. I am the guide of the world. This is my final birth. So the baby is supposed to have declared like that. I am the leader of the world. I am the guide of the world. This is my final birth. And what did the baby do? The baby took 7 steps towards the east. The baby walked. It took 7 steps towards the east. Underneath each step the baby took appeared a lotus flower. So you can see this is a lotus flower. So underneath each step the baby took and appeared a lotus flower. So the baby placed its feet on the lotus flower, and when it was about to put another feet forward, a lotus flower appeared beneath its feet. So the baby is supposed to have taken 7 steps towards the east. 7 steps in the direction of east. Why east? Because that is the future path in which Buddhism spread later. The Buddhism spread towards the east. So the baby is supposed to have taken 7 steps towards the east. Are you there with me, all of you? Clear? Audible? Visible? Right. So don't use your rational brain. As I told you, this is what the Buddhists believe, and we also have to believe that with due respect to Buddhism. Now, so Siddhartha, the baby Buddha was born at Lumbini, birthplace Lumbini. So he was born at Lumbini in 563 BC in the Sakya Kshatriya clan of Kapilavastu on a full moon day. So he was born at Lumbini on a full moon day. So the certain events in the life of the Buddha happened on a full moon day. He was born on a full moon day, right? He attained nirvana, that is enlightenment. He attained nirvana on a full moon day, and he also died on a full moon day. So birth, nirvana, and death happened on a full moon day. And the baby was named Siddhartha. The baby was named Siddhartha. That is, what is the meaning of Siddhartha? He who attains success and prosperity. He who attains success and prosperity. So this is called Buddha Purnima. So he was born on a full moon day, and that is called Buddha Purnima. Buddha Purnima. Purnima is a full moon day, as you know. So he was born at Lumbini in the Sakya Kshatriya clan of Kapilavastu in 563 BC on a full moon day. And the baby was named Siddhartha. Now, exactly 5 days later, after the baby was born, 5 days later, there was one sage in the nearby mountain retreat. So nearby Kapilavastu, there was a mountain, there was a hill, there was a mountain. And on top of that mountain, so imagine this is the mountain and this is the hut inside which there was a sage staying. His name was Ashita. So he was a sage, and he noticed in the night sky the arrangement of the stars. There was a divine constellation arrangement of stars, and he understood. See, since he was a sage, he understood that some special baby looking at the constellation of the star, the arrangement of the stars in the night sky, he understood that some special soul, some special baby has been born in the kingdom. So after 5 days, after the birth of Siddhartha, Ashita came down to the palace. He came down from his mountain retreat and he went to the palace to check upon the baby. And then he went to the palace and he peeped in. Baby Siddhartha was sleeping in the cradle and Ashita peeped in. And he noticed 32 signs of a Mahapurush on your screen. 32 signs of a Mahapurush. 32 bodily marks of a Mahapurush. So he is not an ordinary person. There are 32 signs on his body, which suggests that he is a Mahapurush, including hair tightly curled towards one's right. So his hair was tightly curled towards one's right. So that is one of the signs of a Mahapurush, I believe. So he noticed 32 signs of a Mahapurush and 80 minor signs. 80 minor signs on the body of the baby. And Ashita confirmed, this is not an ordinary baby, this is a special baby. So he said, this is not an ordinary baby, this is a special baby. Now, exactly a week after the birth of Siddhartha, exactly a week after the birth of Siddhartha, mother died. Mother Mahamaya died because of post-delivery complications, postpartum complications. Postpartum means post-delivery complications. So Mahamaya died because of post-delivery complications. And after some time, Suddhodana married a second wife. He took for himself a second wife. She was the younger sister of Mahamaya. Her name was Mahapajapati Gautami. So I'll write here. Her name was Mahapajapati Gautami, who became the stepmother of Siddhartha. She became the stepmother to Siddhartha, and she took care of him. She was the younger sister, I believe, of Mahamaya. And he also had a cousin. His name was Devadatta. A cousin of Siddhartha, a friend turned foe. Later, he became a deadly enemy of Siddhartha, this Devadatta. Are you there with me, all of you? Hello? Can I move on? Clear till here? Okay. Now, as you remember, when the soothsayers, when the court astrologers had interpreted the dream of Mahamaya, they had told that a son will be born to Mahamaya who will be either a great teacher or a great king. And Suddhodana, even before the birth of Siddhartha, had taken the decision that he would want his son to become a great king and not a teacher or a philosopher. Therefore, Siddhartha was brought up in a highly artificial environment. He was brought up in a highly artificial environment within the confines of the palace, within the boundary of the palace. So he had a large boundary wall, and within that boundary wall, he grew up. And he was surrounded by luxury. He was surrounded by luxury, and only young, youthful, and beautiful things were shown to him. Only young, youthful, and beautiful things were shown to him from a young age. So what is the meaning of this? I believe if there's a flower, let's say there's a flower which has bloomed in the garden today, in the palace garden, a flower has bloomed today. So it looks fresh and beautiful. But after a few days, after maybe 2 days, 3 days, it starts showing signs of decay. It starts withering away. It starts showing signs of decay. Even before Siddhartha saw that flower was cut and removed from the scene. Similarly, let us say there was a tree growing in the garden, in the palace orchards, there was a tree growing, and the tree is showing signs of disease. Initially, it was very beautiful, very fresh, very healthy tree, but then later, after some time, it shows signs of disease or decay. Even before Siddhartha saw that, the tree was cut and removed from his presence. So even before he could see the tree. So only young, youthful, and beautiful things were shown to him. and he was surrounded by a sea of luxury. Now, when he came of age, he was married to a girl. Her name was Yashodhara. Her name was Yashodhara. So at the age of 16, he was married to one girl called Yashodhara, and a daughter was born to them initially, and later a son. The daughter was, and some Buddhist sources tell that Siddhartha had totally four wives, and Yashodhara was only his second. So he had totally four wives, and Yashodhara was only his second. Some of the Buddhist sources tell us that. And he was always surrounded by sensual pleasures. That is, always surrounded by women, not 24 hours, 365 days, always surrounded by women. Now, a daughter was born to them initially. Her name was Priyanka. Right? And then a son was born to him. That is Rahul. Rahula. Yeah, Ketan, Rahula or Rahul. He also had a charioteer, Sarathi, charioteer. His name was Channa. Favorite charioteer of Siddhartha, Channa. And also a favorite horse, Kantaka. Kantaka. Kantaka was his favorite horse. Charioteer was Channa. Now, the turning point in his life came when he was 29 years old. Understand this? The turning point in the life of Siddhartha happened at the age of 29 years. When for the first time the prince Siddhartha decided to take a round of the city. He decided to sit in his chariot and go for a ride in the city of Kapilavastu. So he decided to go for a ride in the city of Kapilavastu. So he sat in his chariot drawn by Kantaka, by the horse Kantaka, and ridden by the Sarathi Chenna. Right? So at the age of 29, he enters for the first time in his life the city of Kapilavastu. As you know, we have seen this. He has never gone out of the palace premises, outside the palace compound. So 29 years he has been confined to the palace premises, and for the first time in his life, he has gone out of the palace into the city of Kapilavastu. And on the first day, he saw something which he had never seen. On your screen, you can see on the first day he saw an old man. On the first day, he saw an old man. So he saw an old man. So first day, he saw an old man. And he had never seen anybody like that. Old, wrinkled on all over his body. There were wrinkles. His body was bent because of old age. And he was shocked. He asked Channa, who is this man? Why is he looking like that? And Channa is supposed to have told him, sir, this is an old man. Everybody one day or the other have to become old, including you and me. So this shocked Siddhartha. So his mind was fully disturbed. He asked Channa to take him back to the palace because he could not withstand that sight anymore. So he asked him to take him back to the palace, and all the while he began to think about this old man. So this was on the first day. Oh, he saw an old man. Second day, he saw a sick man. So you can see on your screen a sick man. So this is on the second day. He saw a sick man. This is the second day. He saw a sick man, somebody with some disease, suffering from some disease, right? So he saw a sick man or a diseased man. And he's supposed to have asked Channa, who's this man? Why is he looking like that? And Channa is supposed to have replied that he is a diseased person. He's got some disease, he's suffering from some disease. Everybody one day or the other have to have some disease. They will have to suffer from some disease, including you and me. So this was Channa's reply. And again, this disturbed Siddhartha. Again, he asked Channa to take him back to the palace. So this was on the second day. Then third day, he came out riding again on the horse, on his chariot, drawn by Kantaka and ridden by Channa. And he sees a dead man, a dead body. He sees a dead body. You can see here on your screen the dead body. And people are crying around the dead body. And Channa, he's supposed to ask Channa, Chinna, who's this man? Why is he sleeping like that? Why is he sleeping and people are carrying him? So Chinna is supposed to have replied, he's not sleeping, sir, he's dead. And everybody, one day or the other, have to die, including you and me. So this further disturbed Siddhartha. And then he began to think, what is the purpose of life then? What is the purpose of life? What is the... So this is the question which enveloped his mind after this third incident he saw. What is the purpose of life? We are born, we get old, we get some disease, and we die. Then what is the purpose of life? So this question began to haunt him. On the fourth day, he again came out riding a bill, and then on the fourth day, he saw a ascetic or a sage on your screen. As you can see, he saw an ascetic, a sage. Ascetic or a sage. There was a lot of contentment, peace and contentment on the face of the sage. And he asked Chenna, "Who's this man? Why is he sitting under the tree?" And he looks so happy and contented. And Chenna is supposed to have told him that he's an ascetic, he's a sage, he's a sannyasi. He's a sannyasi or an ascetic who has cut away all his connections. He has cut away all his worldly bonds. He has cut away all his attachments. So he's a sannyasi who's renounced the world. And Siddhartha is supposed to have replied, that is the reason why there is so much of peace and contentment on his face. I should become like him. If I have to find the answer to the question, what is the purpose of life, then I have to become like him. That is, become a sannyasi or an ascetic or a sage. So on the fourth day, he saw a ascetic or a sage. And he felt that if he becomes somebody like that, if he becomes a sage or an ascetic, then he'll find the answer to the question, what is the purpose of life? So remember these four events: old man, sick man, dead body, and an ascetic or a sage. Right? Are you there with me? So he saw these four scenes. Then it is said that at the age of 29, again, so he was so he, so he was confused. He did not know what to do. He wanted to find the purpose of life, the answer to the question, what is the purpose of life? And in that confusion, a son was born to him. That is Rahula. So Rahula was born when Siddhartha was having this confusion as to what is the purpose of life. And the birth of a son did not give him happiness, because tomorrow his son is going to succeed him to the throne. So he was not bothered about that. It did not bring him any happiness, the birth of a son. Now we are told at the age of 29, Siddhartha one night got up from his bed. Sorry. So at the age of 29, he got up from his cot and he decided to renounce the world. He decided to take up sannyas. Right? What is called renounce the world. He decided to renounce the world. Worldly life. Renounce the worldly life. And his family was sleeping in the adjoining room, in the adjacent room. His wife and children were sleeping in the adjacent room. He felt that he should inform them. Initially, he felt, let me inform them, wake them up, tell them that I'm going away from the palace to find the answer to the question, what is the purpose of life? At the same time, he felt that if he wakes them up, then he will disturb their sleep. So therefore, he decided, let me first go away. Let me find the answer to the question, what is the purpose of life? And once I get the answer, I'll come back and call upon them. I'll come back to the palace and call upon them. So at the age of 29, Siddhartha walked away from the palace along with his charioteer Channa on a chariot ridden by Kantaka, drawn by Kantaka. So he sat in that chariot drawn by Kantaka, the horse, ridden by Channa, the charioteer, and he went away. And they traveled in a southeast direction. So this particular incident or episode of Siddhartha going away from the palace has been called Mahabhinishkramana. It has been called Mahabhinishkramana. Mahabhinishkramana. The great departure as it is called the Great Departure. So you can see here on your screen, this is the Great Departure. You have the gods and the yakshas, they're all unseen. They're all aiding in his departure. So you can see they're carrying his horse also. These gods and yakshas are carrying, in a painting it has been shown like this. Snakes have accompanied him to guard him, and he has gone away from the palace, right? That is called Mahabhi Nishkramana, the Great Departure. And he travels in a southeast direction. And they come to the edge of a forest. Where there's a river flowing, River Anoma. River Anoma. You can see here, this is the river. So he comes to the edge of a forest where there's a river flowing, and he tells Channa to stop the chariot. So Channa stops the chariot. Siddhartha got down from his chariot. He removed all his clothes and exchanged them for that of a mendicant. That is, he removed all his royal dress and he wore the attire of a mendicant or a sadhu. Yellow robes. He wore yellow robes. He cut away his hair. You can see on the screen, Siddhartha is cutting off his hair. And then he ordered Channa to take the chariot and Kantaka back to the palace and inform his father that his son has taken sannyas. Now the horse, I believe, Kantaka was watching all these things. His horse was watching all these things. Siddhartha removing all his royal attire, royal dress, and wearing that of a mendicant's dress. And the horse understood that his master is not going to come back. He's taking up sannyas. His master is not going to come back again. And the horse was very painful. It could not withstand his master going away from him. So the horse is supposed to have got a heart attack, and the horse died. And immediately, Kantaka was born in a heaven full of horses. So Kantaka got a heart attack that Siddhartha was taking sannyas, and it died, and with a heart attack. But then it was immediately born in a heaven full of horses. So here, you have Chenna going back to the palace and informing the king Suddhodana that his son Siddhartha had taken sannyas. Now, Siddhartha first came to Vaishali. He comes to Vaishali and accepted Alara Kalama as his guru. Alara Kalama. So there was a guru called Alara Kalama there. So he accepted Alara Kalama as his guru. And under Alara Kalama, he learned many things. Yoga, Sankhya Shastra, the basics of yoga, Sankhya Shastra, all those things he learned. And he asked Alara Kalama one question. What is the purpose of life, sir? Please tell me. Please tell me the purpose of life. Alara Kalama was not able to give him a convincing answer. So he left Alara Kalama and then he moved on. So from Vaishali, he comes to Rajagriha. And at Rajagriha, he accepted another person as his guru. Uddaka, also called Ramaputta or Ramaputta. So Uddaka or Ramaputta also taught Siddhartha various techniques of yoga, etc. And when Siddhartha asked him the same question, what is the purpose of life? Uddaka also was not able to give a convincing answer. So he left him also. So he left Alara Kalama, he left Uddaka, and he moved on. Now, please understand, he began to wander for the next 6 years. So he left home at the age of 29. He accepted these two people as his gurus, Alara Kalama and Uddaka. And then for the next 6 years, he began to wander. That is, till the age of 35 years. Till the age of 35 years, we see Siddhartha wandering from place to place. But then he was not alone in this wandering. There were 5 other people who were wandering along with Siddhartha. So they had joined Siddhartha and they were also wandering around or roaming around. Who are these 5 people? Kondana, Bhadiya, Mahanama, and Asagi. So Kondana, Vappa, Bhadiya, Mahanama, Asagi. Now, who are these people? Who are these five people? They were also trying to find the answer to the question, what is the purpose of life? What is the purpose of life? So Siddhartha was accompanied by these five people, Kondana, Vappa, Bhadiya, Mahanama, Asagi. And they were all these six people were trying to find the answer to the question, what is the purpose of life? And along with these five people, Siddhartha performed the severest of austerities. They began to perform the severest of austerities. What is austerities? The severest of austerities. That is punishing the body, denying it food, water, sleep. Denying the body food, water, and sleep, and meditating day and night. Meditating day and night. Denying the body food, water, and sleep, and meditating day and night, so that their body became emaciated. Their bodies became emaciated. What is emaciated? Weak. Bones and skeletons were seen. Their bodies became so weak that their skeleton and bones were seen. Literally. Are you there with me, all of you? Hello, clear till here, all of you? Any doubts? Can I move on? Okay, so here all these six people were performing the severest of austerities, denying themselves food, water, sleep, meditating day and night, so that their bodies became emaciated. And the 32 signs of a Mahapurush also disappeared from the body of Siddhartha. It was no more seen. The 32 signs of a Mahapurush were no more seen on his body. At the age of 35 years, understand this, at the age of 35 years, these six people, that is Siddhartha plus 5, at the age of 35 years, they came to Gaya, now called Bodha Gaya in Bihar. So they came to Gaya, and there was a sal grove. Look here, this is a sal grove. A grove of sal trees. So they came to a sal grove. Right. And when they entered the sal grove, a thought came to the mind of Siddhartha. A thought came to his mind. What was the thought? If I can continue to punish my body like this, by denying it food, water, sleep, I'll die. And if I die, I'll not be able to find the answer to the question, what is the purpose of life? If I continue to punish my body like this, by denying it food, water, sleep, then I will die. If I die, then I'll not be able to find the answer to the question, what is the purpose of life? Just as this thought came to his mind, from nowhere, from nowhere, a farmer's daughter called Sujata appeared. So there was one farmer's daughter called Sujata. So she came from nowhere, Sujata, and she offered a bowl of rice and milk to Siddhartha. So this is a bowl here. So this is a bowl of rice and milk. So she offered this bowl of rice and milk to Siddhartha. So she offered that bowl to him. Siddhartha never questioned her who she is, why she is offering him a bowl of rice and milk. So he is supposed to have divided this rice and milk into 49 parts. He divided the rice and milk into 49 parts, which he consumed for the next 49 days. Don't use your rational brain. This is the story of the Buddha. Listen up. Right? So he divided the bowl of rice and milk into 49 parts, which he consumed for the next 49 days. At the end of the 49th day, Siddhartha had got back his energy, including the 32 signs of a Mahapurush were seen on his body again. So 32 signs of a Mahapurush were seen on his body again, and he had got back his energy. Now, the question is, who was this Sujata? Who was this Sujata, and why did she give Siddhartha a bowl of rice and milk? Now, Sujata was a farmer's daughter. Understand this? Sujata was a farmer's daughter, and she had been married some time back. And she did not have any babies. She did not have any children. So I believe in that Sal grove, there was a Yaksha living. There used to be a lucky Yaksha. Yaksha is a tree spirit. Yaksha is a tree spirit. And Yakshas are supposed to guard the wealth under the ground. They guard the wealth under the ground, Yakshas. So there was a Yaksha living in that Sal grove, and she often used to come to that Sal grove to supplicate the Yaksha, to pray to the Yaksha. She wanted the Yaksha to bless her with a child. And now she was pregnant. Sujata was pregnant now. And she had come with a bowl of rice and milk to offer it to the Yaksha, no? To offer her thanks to the Yaksha. And mistaking Siddhartha for the Yaksha, she handed over the bowl of rice and milk to Siddhartha. She mistook Siddhartha for the Yaksha. And she offered that bowl of rice and milk to Siddhartha. Did you get me that? Hello, all of you. Are you clear? Hello? Did you get me the story? Yeah. So I said, Ketan, I said, Sujata was a farmer's daughter who had been married some time back, and she did not have any children. So she wanted to become a mother. And she used to often come to that Sal grove where there was a Yaksha living. And she used to supplicate or pray to the Yaksha. And now she was pregnant. And she had come to offer her thanks to the Yaksha. And she had brought a bowl of rice and milk to offer it to the Yaksha. But she mistook Siddhartha for the Yaksha and handed over the bowl of rice and milk to Siddhartha. And Siddhartha divided it into 49 parts, which he consumed for the next 49 days. And at the end of the 49th day, he had got his energy back. Clear, Ketan? Right? I hope it is interesting. I hope it is interesting. We'll come back here. Now, these five people, five accomplices, Kondana, Bappa, Bhadia, Mahanama, Asagi, they saw Siddhartha consuming rice and milk, and they got disgusted with him. They got disgusted, angry with him. This fellow is eating rice and milk. We have given up everything, food, water, sleep, and we are meditating day and night to find the answer to the question, what is the purpose of life? Siddhartha has given up hope. He has consumed rice and milk. So therefore, let us abandon him. So they got disgusted with Siddhartha because he had consumed rice and milk, and they had not, and they were still punishing their bodies. So they left Siddhartha and went away. They left Siddhartha and went away in disgust. They were disgusted with him because he had consumed rice and milk. Now, Siddhartha is supposed to have, after having received his energy back, Siddhartha is supposed to have entered a river nearby. So there was a river flowing nearby. So what was the name of that river? Niranjana. River Niranjana. So he enters that river to take a bath. Supposedly identified with the modern Falgu river. Modern Falgu river in Bihar. So he's supposed to have taken bath in that river Niranjana, and after having taken a bath, he came out of that river. And on the banks of that river, there was one tree. There was one tree. This is the people tree or the sacred fig tree. Sacred fig tree. Sacred fig tree, or also called people tree. And he decided to sit for meditation under the tree. So this is Siddhartha sitting for meditation under the tree. And he took a firm resolution that he will not get up from that place until and unless he finds the answer to the question, what is the purpose of life? Until I find the answer to the question, what is the purpose of life, I will not get up from this place. So he, with that firm resolution, sat under the tree for meditation. And it is said that Siddhartha went into deeper and deeper levels of meditation. So he's gone deep within himself, deeper and deeper levels of meditation. Right. Now, there was one god called Mara. Mara. So Mara was the spirit. Mara was the Deva or spirit associated with rebirth. So there was a god called Mara, the Deva or spirit associated with rebirth and enlightenment. So he was a spirit or god associated with enlightenment and rebirth. And Mara wanted to disturb Siddhartha. So Siddhartha is meditating under the fig tree or the sacred people tree or the sacred fig tree. And Mara wanted to disturb Siddhartha. So what did Mara do? He sent his two beautiful daughters. On your screen, you can see here. So Siddhartha is meditating, okay, under the sacred tree, under the people tree, right? And then you have Mara sending his two beautiful daughters. You can see on your screen, Mara's daughters. So here, they came and, did some dance, item number and all that. And they tried to disturb Siddhartha. But Siddhartha did not open his eyes. Are you there with me? Hello. Siddhartha did not open his eyes. So the women, both the girls, they tried hard. They did all sorts of dance, right? But then he did not open his eyes. Then, hello, can you raise your hand so that I know that I've been heard? Okay, thank you. So yeah, okay, thank you. So here, both the girls failed. Then he sent his servants. To disturb Siddhartha. You can see on your screen, his servants have come. That they are shooting arrows at him. You can see here, arrows are being shot, bugles are being blown. Okay, horns are being blown. Smoke is being, spewed on Siddhartha. So they tried various methods to disturb Siddhartha from his meditation. The servants also failed. This was a UPSC question asked, mind you. This was a UPSC question asked in the prelims. We'll come to that. Then Mara appeared. Mara himself appeared, and there was a dialogue. There was a mental dialogue between Mara and Siddhartha. So they are communicating at a different plane, at a different level. And Mara is supposed to have questioned the credentials of Siddhartha. He is supposed to have told Siddhartha that you don't have those qualities. You don't have those credentials or qualities to seek whatever you are trying to seek. And therefore, you better give up. And Siddhartha is supposed to have replied in a very calm manner that I'm very pure, I have all the qualities necessary to achieve whatever I'm trying to achieve. And as a symbol of my purity, as a proof of my purity, I have the Mother Earth. So with his right hand, Siddhartha is supposed to have touched the ground. Prithvi. He said, Prithvi, or goddess Earth, is a witness to my purity. I'm very pure. And as a witness to my purity, I have the goddess Earth. This is called Bhumi Sparsha Mudra. On your screen, you can see Bhumi Sparsha Mudra. So Siddhartha is supposed to have touched the ground, the Earth, Mother Earth, with his right fingers, with his right hand. And that is a time when Siddhartha attained his enlightenment. He attained what is known as nirvana or sambodhi, the intuitive knowledge. He received the intuitive knowledge above senses. Knowledge above senses. And he became the Buddha. That is, the one who had attained the Bodhi knowledge. So he had received the Bodhi knowledge, the intuitive knowledge above senses, and he had become the Buddha. In other words, he had found all the answer to the question which he was seeking. And on your screen, you can see we have a sculpture in Ajanta caves in Maharashtra. We have a sculpture, Temptation and Assault of Mara, cave number 26, Ajanta. So you can see here Buddha, that is Siddhartha, is meditating here, and Mara has appeared on his elephant. You can see here elephant. There's an elephant here, and Mara is sitting on the elephant, right? Below appear his daughters. His daughters have tried to disturb Siddhartha. They failed. And ultimately, you have a dejected Mara here. Onto the left of your screen, you can see a dejected Mara. So the explanation is given on top of the sculpture here. Are you there with me? So so here Siddhartha had become the Buddha. This way, Siddhartha had become the Buddha. Okay, so here he has achieved nirvana, realization of ultimate knowledge. And once he attained nirvana or sambodhi as it is called, it is said that Buddha sat in that position for 7 weeks. He sat in that position for 7 weeks, enjoying a state of bliss. He was enjoying a state of bliss, a sense of lightness. He was feeling very light, very blissful, very peaceful. And he sat in that position for 7 weeks, right? Continuously. And in these 7 weeks, gap or interval, we have thrice a god called Brahma Sahampati who came. Brahma Sahampati, a god called Brahma Sahampati came, and he was trying to awaken Siddhartha, wake him up from that place. So Brahma Sahampati came to thrice during this 7 week gap. And what was Brahma Sahampati trying to do? He was trying to tell Siddhartha, get up. He was trying to tell the Buddha, I'll use the word Buddha now because Siddhartha has become the Buddha. So he was trying to tell the Buddha, whatever knowledge you have gained, you go and share it with the world. So in this 7 weeks gap, thrice Brahma Sahampati came. First time he came, he tried to awaken Siddhartha from that place, but he failed. Second time he came, again he failed. Third time he came. Ultimately, with his third effort, Buddha is supposed to have got up from that place. He got up from that place and he paced up and down. For the next 3 days, he paced up and down at that place, and then he moved away. Then he comes to a place called Isipatana. You can see here, just hold on your screen, you can see the Mahabodhi temple at Bodh Gaya, Bihar. So this is the exact spot where the Lord Buddha is supposed to have attained his nirvana or sambodhi, and he became the Buddha, right? And this particular temple, Mahabodhi temple, was built by the Pala king, Devapala. So Devapala, the Pala king, built this particular temple. So this is supposed to be the most holy place of Buddhism. It is called the center of Buddhism. It is called the center of Buddhist world. The Mahabodhi temple at Bodh Gaya, Bihar. The exact spot where the Lord Buddha attained his nirvana. So, are you there with me, all of you? So he came. He attained his nirvana at Gaya. Then he was there for 7 weeks, enjoying the state of blissfulness, happiness, lightness. Then Brahma Sahampati came in that 7 week gap for 3 times. Thrice he came, and then on his third attempt he got up. Siddhartha Buddha got up from the place, and he paced up and down for the next 3 days, and then he moved away. Where does Buddha come now? Buddha came to Isipatana. He comes to Isipatana. That is Sarnath. Old name of Sarnath is Isipatana. He comes to Sarnath, and there was a deer park there. I believe there was a deer park. He enters the deer park. At Sarnath. And in that deer park, he saw his 5 former accomplices, Kondana, Bappa, Bhadia, Mahanama, Asagi. So when he saw his 5 former accomplices, he called out to them. So he called them, and they all came running. They saw a tremendous transformation in Siddhartha when they saw him. And the Buddha is supposed to have told these 5 people, henceforth, you address me as Tathagatha. Call me or address me as Tathagatha. What's the meaning of Tathagatha? One who has come, and therefore one who has to go. One who has come, Tathagata. One who has come, and therefore one who has to go. Literally, it means the one who has walked the path of enlightenment. The one who has walked the path of enlightenment. One who has walked the path of enlightenment. Tathagata. One who has walked the path of enlightenment. And to these 5 people, plus one boy called Yashas. So Buddha gave his first discourse. Understand this? So 5 people sat before the Buddha, and there was one boy walking by. He saw 5 people being spoken to by the Buddha. And he got inquisitive. Who is this person speaking to these 5 people? What is he speaking? Let me also go and sit next to them. So this boy was Yashas. So to these 5 people, plus a boy called Yashas, Buddha gave his first discourse, what is called pravachan. Buddha gave his first discourse, religious discourse or lesson. That is called Dharma Chakra Pravartana. Dharma Chakra Pravartana. Dharma Chakra Pravartana. Also called Dharma Chakra Parivartana. So what is the meaning of this? How the wheel of Dharma moves. It means how the wheel of Dharma moves. How the wheel of Dharma moves. Are you there with me? Are you able to see me? This is at Sarnath, Isipasana, Patana. This is his first discourse in the Deer Park. He gave his first discourse in the Deer Park at Sarnath. Yeah. So I use another page. What's the meaning of Dharma Chakra Pravartana? How the wheel of Dharma moves. How the wheel of Dharma moves. What happened to deer when he came at first? How the wheel of Dharma moves. What will happen to the deer? You should tell me, Kennedy, how the wheel of Dharma moves. Deer will be there only, no? Unless you want to catch and eat them up. So how the wheel of Dharma moves. Are you there with me, Kennedy? Now, why are you worried about the deer? You are worried about Buddha. Buddha gave his first discourse there in the deer park, right? Deer were minding their business and eating grass. Kennedy, are you there with me? Okay. Yeah. First five people. Yeah, first 5 people. Kondana, Vappa, Badiya, Mahanama, Asagi plus Yashas, a boy called Yashas. Some boy called Yashas who was passing by, he also came and sat next to these 5 former accomplices of the Buddha. For 5 people, yeah, 5 plus 1, 6 people. To these 6 people, Buddha gave his first discourse, and these people, yeah, that means they get reunited. Yes, they get reunited. And these 6 people became the first members of the Sangha. Understand this? These 6 people, that is 5 plus 1. 5 plus 1 became the first members of the Sangha. They became the first members of the Sangha. What is Sangha? The monastic order established by the Buddha. The monastic order established by the Buddha is called Sangha. Yeah, the names can vary. Yeah, the names can vary from whatever source I have picked up. These are the 5 names. I told you. Kondana, Vappa, Badiya, Mahanama, Asagi. Right? Are you there with me, all of you? So, to these 6 people, Buddha gave his first discourse. And in course of time, we are told that all these 6 people attained Nirvana. All these 6 people attained Nirvana. And the son of the mother of Yashas, Yashas's mother, Yashas's mother became the first female member. She became the first female member of the Sangha. She became the first female member of the Sangha. Are you there with me? Hello, all of you. So Yashas's mother became the first female member of the Sangha. So please understand, Buddha left home at the age of 29. For the next 6 years, he traveled from place to place, wandered around with his 5 accomplices. At the age of 35 years, he attained his nirvana. He totally lived for 80 years. That means for the next 45 years, understand this, for the next 45 years, he would go from place to place with his favorite disciple, Ananda. So Ananda was the favorite disciple of the Buddha. He was a distant relative of the Buddha. Ananda, favorite disciple of the Buddha. Favorite disciple. So Ketan, wait, just hold on. Ketan, wait. It's not on the recommendation of Ananda. We'll come to that. Just hold on. On the insistence of Ananda, not on the recommendation. It was on the insistence. We'll come back here. So Ananda was the favorite disciple of the Buddha and a distant relative of the Buddha. And wherever Buddha went, Ananda went along with him. He was like the tail of the Buddha. Wherever Buddha went, he went along. So he totally lived for 80 years and he would go from place to place giving his teachings. Right? Now, the contemporary kings of Buddha were King Bimbisara of Magadha. Bimbisara of Magadha and King Prasenjit of Koshala. King Prasenjit of Koshala became the disciples of the Buddha. So they became the disciples of the Buddha. Buddha also converted a bandit called Angulimala. You can see on your screen Angulimala. So what is this Angulimala? So there was a bandit called Angulimala, I believe. Bandit. So he was a dacoit or a bandit. He was a bandit. And he used to stay in the forest. And whenever he came across people, some person going through the forest, he'll attack that person. Whether it's male or female, he'll attack that person. He'll kill him. And then he will rob away all the jewels, whatever jewels that person has on his body. And as a memento, he'll cut away one of the fingers of the dead person. And he'll attach it to his mala, Anguli mala, who had a mala of angulis or fingers. So Buddha was warned not to go into that forest because there was this dangerous fellow called Angulimala living in the forest. But Buddha went into the forest. Angulimala saw Buddha. Their eyes met each other's eyes. Their eyes met each other's. And then Angulimala fell at the feet of the Buddha. There was a transformation in his heart and mind. And he fell at the feet of the Buddha. And Buddha blessed him. And Angulimala became a disciple of the Buddha. And he gave up his former cruel ways. Right? Ketan, no. I did not say nothing wrong with your English, Ketan. Your English is very much correct. On the not on the recommendation, on the insistence, he was persistent. I'll come to that. Just hold on, Ketan. Nothing wrong with your English. Biharis speak very good English. So I know a lot of Biharis who speak very good English. Kennedy, he used to rob and then kill the person, and then he'll cut away one of the fingers and attach it to his mala. So Angulimala, right? So here he transformed Angulimala and he became a disciple of the Buddha. There was also the dancer, the royal dancer, Amrapali. So Amrapali, she was the royal courtesan of Vaishali. She was the dancer of Vaishali. She was the court dancer of Ajata Shatru. Amrapali. So court dancer of Ajata Shatru. So she was the royal courtesan of Vaishali. I have no space to write here. I'll use another page. I'll write here. So her name was Amrapali. So she was the royal courtesan, royal dancer, royal courtesan, known for her beauty. And she became a disciple of the Buddha also, Amrapali. So she was the royal courtesan of Vaishali. She was in the court of King Ajatashatru. And she also became a disciple of the Buddha, right? And then we have a conspiracy hatched by Devadatta. So you see, Buddha had become very popular now. He would go from place to place giving his teachings, discourses, and then he thought arose in his mind that he should go and see his family. You remember, he had taken a decision that once he finds the answer to the question, what is the purpose of life, he'll go and call upon his family. So here, the prince Siddhartha, now Buddha, wanted to come back to Rajagriha, and he wanted to call upon his family. And a conspiracy was hatched by the king Devadatta, his cousin. So now we are told that Buddha's parents had died. Devadatta was the king. Devadatta was his cousin, who was very, very jealous of the Buddha. So when Buddha came to Rajagriha, what Devadatta did is he let loose a mad elephant, a rogue elephant on the Buddha. The name of the elephant was Nalagiri. So Nalagiri, a rogue elephant, came charging at the Buddha, and then their eyes met each other's. They saw each other, the elephant and Buddha, and there was a transformation in the heart and mind of the elephant, and the elephant is supposed to have calmed down and kneel down before the Buddha. So this is the taming of the elephant by the Buddha. Okay, so just strike off this particular Shravasti Chamat. This is not called Shravasti Chamatkar. Just strike off this part. I have struck off that. Shravasti Chamatkar is something else. By mistake, I have put that there. I stand corrected. So taming of an elephant by the Buddha. Are you there with me? So this happened at Rajagriha. Nalagiri, a rogue elephant, was let loose by King Devadatta, who was now the king, and the elephant bore down before the Buddha. So time had passed by. Buddha had become very, very popular. He was now about 80 years old. Buddha was about 80 years old. And he spent his maximum time at Shravasti. So he spent his maximum time here at Shravasti, and also gave his maximum teachings, pravachan at Shravasti. So he gave his maximum discourses at Shravasti. He spent his last rainy season at Vaishali. So he spent his last rainy season at Vaishali. That was also the last major city visited by him. Last major city visited by the Buddha. That is Vaishali. Bimbisar was a contemporary of the Buddha. Please mention the king contemporary of Buddha was Bimbisar and Prasenjit of Koshala. Kennedy, Bimbisar of Magadha. Okay, and then King Prasenjit of Koshala. At what age Buddha went home? He went home after some time. I mean, what age he went home, we don't know. But then he became popular. No, he did not take too long also to go. His parents had died by the time he attained, by the time he went to Rajagriha to call upon his family. So he spent his last rainy season at Vaishali. That was also the last major city visited by the Buddha. Then we are told that Buddha came to Pavapuri along with Ananda. So Buddha and Ananda came to Pavapuri, right? And at Pavapuri, there was an untouchable, a blacksmith called Chunda. There was a blacksmith called Chunda. This Chunda invited Buddha and Ananda to his house for food. Please come and have meal in my house, sir. That's what he said. He invited Buddha and Ananda for food in his house to come and have food for meal. No, for me, he asked them to come and have a meal in his house. So Buddha and Ananda accepted the invitation. They went to Chunda's house, and Chunda offered them pork. Chunda offered them a meal of pork meal. So both Buddha and Ananda consumed the pork, right? And Ananda calls it as Shukra Madhava. It was very sweet, I believe. Ananda calls it as Shukra Madhava. That is the sweetness of pork. Sweetness. So they both consumed pork, and then from Pavapuri, they bid goodbye to Chunda, and they moved on towards Kushinagara. Kushinagar was about 6 miles away, about 10 kilometers away. And on the way, as Buddha was traveling from Pavapuri to Kushinagar, he developed dysentery, severe loose motions. So he was suffering from dysentery or loose motions, and he was frequently passing loose motions. 80-year-old man. What was the reason for the dysentery? I believe the pork which had been served by Chunda was stale. It was not freshly cooked. It was not freshly cooked. It was a stale pork. It was stale pork, and that caused an infection in the tummy of Buddha. So he began to frequently pass loose motions, and with great difficulty. And when you pass frequent loose motions, you become dehydrated, isn't it? You lose a lot of water, body salt, and water. So with great weakness, he was severely weakened. So by the time he reached Kushinagara, and as they reached Kushinagara, when they reached Kushinagara, Buddha saw he saw a pair of sal trees. So he saw two sal trees, and he's supposed to have ordered Ananda, make a bed for me between these two sal trees. So he told him, make a bed for me. I want to lie down between these two sal trees. So accordingly, Ananda made a bed for the Buddha, and Buddha lay down. He lay down between these two sal trees, right? And he died. And this is called parinirvana. Parinirvana of the Buddha. That is the death of the Buddha. So Buddha died at Kushinagara. And before he died, before the Buddha died, he gave his last discourse. Buddha gave his last teaching or discourse to Ananda. Understand this? He gave his last teaching to Ananda and Subhadra. Subhadra was a wandering ascetic. A wandering ascetic. So Buddha gave his last discourse to Ananda and Subhadra, a wandering ascetic. Who was Subhadra? A wandering ascetic, a parivrajaka, as it is called. Parivrajaka. Parivrajaka is a wandering ascetic. So to these two people, Ananda and Subhadra, Buddha gave his last discourse. What is the last discourse he gave? Understand this. He says, I believe Buddha said, subject to decay are all component things. Write down, subject to decay. Subject to decay are all component things. So always keep a pen and a paper when you're listening to the lecture. Keep on jotting down because otherwise you will get bored. Mind will go for a tour. So if you're writing, your mind will not go here and there. You'll be forced to focus and concentrate. So always keep a pen and a paper. Not only my class, any class, everybody's class, every teacher's class. So he comes to Rajagriha. And this incident happened at Rajagriha where Devadatta let loose a elephant on the Buddha. Okay, Jia. So subject to decay are all component things. Understand here, subject to decay are all component things. Strive earnestly for your salvation. Strive earnestly. Are they with me? Subject to decay are all component things. Full stop. Strive earnestly, sincerely for your salvation. These are the last discourse. This is the last teaching given by the Buddha, last discourse of the Buddha. And before Buddha died, I believe the earth shook violently. The earth shook violently before he died. And the death of the Buddha is called parinirvana. Are you there with me, all of you? So, PowerPoint part is, I told you, Kennedy, Buddha comes to Pavapuri along with Ananda. And at Pavapuri, there was a blacksmith. Dinesh, just hold on. I will explain to you what is Mahaparinirvana. Just hold on. So, at Pavapuri, Buddha Buddha and Ananda were invited for a meal in the house of Chunda. Chunda invited them to come and have meal in his house, to have some food in his house. So he was a blacksmith. He belonged to the untouchable community. He was a blacksmith by profession, who was considered to be untouchable during those days. So Chunda offered them a meal of pork. So both Buddha and Ananda accepted the invitation. They went and had pork in his house. And unfortunately, it was a stale pork. It was not freshly cooked. And by the time Buddha reached Kushinagar, he developed severe dysentery. He developed loose motions. So he was severely weakened by the time he reached Kushinagar. He lay down between two sal trees. The bed was made by Ananda, and he died there. And that is called parinirvana, the death of the Buddha. And the earth is supposed to have shook violently when he died. And before he died, he gave his last teaching to Ananda and Subhadra, a wandering ascetic. Shukramadhava is, I told you, the sweetness of pork. Kennedy, Ananda found the pork very sweet. Sukramadhava, he calls it as Sukramadhava, the sweetness of pork. It was very sweet, I believe. Are they with me, all of you? Now, what is the difference between parinirvana and nirvana? Just take down Mahaparinirvana. What is the difference between Mahaparinirvana and, just hold on. Yeah, take down. Parinirvana. Parinirvana literally means death, but just take down parinirvana, state of release. Parinirvana. Nirvana. State of release. State of release. State of release. RELEAS. State of release after death. State of release after death from samsara. From samsara and the karmic cycle that binds one to samsara. State of release after death, close the bracket, from samsara and the karmic cycle that binds one to samsara. Then so parinirvana literally means death of the Buddha. And what is Mahaparinirvana? As Dinesh has asked, Mahaparinirvana. Mahaparinirvana, attainment of state of eternal bliss. Attainment of state of eternal bliss. Attainment of state of eternal bliss. Having been released from misery. Having been released from misery and samsara. That is the difference between parinirvana and mahaparinirvana. Does it have any significance? What is your question, Kennedy? What, does it have any significance? What significance are you talking about? Kennedy? No, it's not. It has no significance. It is just that Ananda found it sweet. The pork was very sweet, he said. He enjoyed the pork. But the same pork caused problem for Buddha. Samsara is the cycle of life, death, the birth, death. Okay, samsara is that. It literally means worldly life. Literally, samsara is worldly life, the cycle of birth and death. Do you understand? Kennedy, samsara is not family life, it is a cycle of life and death. Okay, so this is about Lord Buddha. You can see on your screen. So he lay down between two sal trees. So he was born in a sal grove. You remember this? He was born in a sal grove. He died between two sal trees. And when he died, it was a full moon day. So he was born on a full moon day. He died on a full moon day. And he died between two sal trees. He was also born in a sal grove. Are you there with me, Kennedy? So this is about Buddha. You can see on your screen, Chaitya Griha, Kushinagara, UP. This commemorates the place where the Buddha achieved parinirvana in his 80th year. So he died here in this place at this spot, right? And this is the gilded statue of parinirvana, the gilded statue of the parinirvana of the Buddha. So you can see he lay down like this. In that position, he lay between two sal trees and he died. This is the story of the Buddha. Any doubts? Any questions? Any clarifications? Can I move on? Okay. Now let us come to the teachings of the Buddha. Let us come to the teachings of the Buddha. Not yet. What happened, Kennedy? What's your doubt? Ganesh, parinirvana is the death of the Buddha. Parinirvana is the literal death of the Buddha. Okay, my Mahaparinirvana is just slightly before he died. Okay, but it is used interchangeably. Parinirvana, Mahaparinirvana is used interchangeably. So, death of the Buddha is called parinirvana, and Mahaparinirvana is just before he died. Ganesh, are you there with me? Hello. But technically, between two sal trees. Yeah, between two sal trees, he died. So let us talk about the teachings of the Buddha. The Buddha's teachings are contained in the Four Noble Truths. Understand this? The Four Noble Truths called Arya Sachani. Arya Sachani, or Four Noble Truths. So Buddha starts off on a very pessimistic note. He says there is suffering in the world, dukkha. So he starts off on a pessimistic note. There is dukkha. It has a cause, samudaya. Then suffering can be removed. So he is assuring the devotee suffering can be removed. That is called nirodha. And the way to remove suffering is by following the eightfold path. Ashtanga magga or Ashtangika marga. Ashtanga magga or Ashtangika marga. In Sanskrit, so this is in Pali language, Ashtanga magga, Pali. In Sanskrit, this is Ashtangika marga. Ashtangika marga. Eightfold path. Four Noble Truths. There's suffering, it has a cause, suffering can be removed. And the way to achieve this is by following the Eightfold Path. So what is this Eightfold Path? On your screen, you can see here on your screen, this is the Eightfold Path: the right view, right intention, right speech, right action, etc. On your screen. Ashtangika Marga or Atthanga Magga. Right speech. Right speech, that is telling the truth, speaking kindly and wisely. Right speech. Then right intention or thought, caring for others and being unselfish. Right view, knowing and understanding the Four Noble Truths. Right view, knowing and understanding the Four Noble Truths. Right action, not to harm others, steal or cheat. Right effort, working hard to keep to the Eightfold Path. Right concentration, peaceful state of mind gained from following the path. Right mindfulness, being aware of the effects of thoughts and actions. Being aware of the effects of thoughts and actions. And lastly, right livelihood, working to the best of your ability and being in a job that does not harm others. So you can see here, this is the Eightfold Path: right speech, right intention, right thought, right action, right mindfulness, right concentration, etc. So these teachings of the Buddha are more ethical. They are ethical, moralistic in nature. It is devoid of any rituals or sacrifices. And Buddha says, not necessary, Kennedy, not necessary. They are more ethical and moralistic in nature. And it's not necessary to just know the Eightfold Path, what Buddha was trying to tell. Now, Buddha says this Eightfold Path is also called, understand this, middle path. The Eightfold Path is also called middle path or Madhyama Marga. Madhyama Marga. Why it's called Madhyama Marga or Madhyama Pratipata? It's also called Madhyama Pratipata. That is, it is neither too difficult to follow. It's called middle path because neither too difficult to follow, neither too difficult, neither too easy. It is somewhere in between. It's neither very difficult to follow Eightfold Path, neither it is it too easy. So it is somewhere in between. And therefore, the Eightfold Path is called middle path or Madhyama Marga. Right? And Buddha says that if you follow middle path, if you follow the Ashtangika Marga, Eightfold Path, I will guarantee nirvana to everyone. I will guarantee nirvana to everyone, irrespective of sex and irrespective of varna. That is, he promised nirvana to even the females and the Shudras. In the Vedic religion, if you have seen, if you remember, only the Dvijas are who? Twice born, those who had the right to wear the sacred thread, the Yagnopavita or the Janeyu. Those who could wear the Janeyu are allowed to wear the Janeyu or the Upanayana. Only they were eligible to attain moksha, that is freedom from rebirth. So here the Shudras and women could not undergo this Upanayana ceremony or the Janeyu ceremony. So they were doomed in the Vedic religion. So only the Brahmana boy, the Kshatriya boy, and the Vaishya boy who underwent the Upanayana or the sacred thread ceremony could attain moksha, not the Shudra and the women who were denied the right to wear the sacred thread. So they could not attain moksha. Whereas Buddha says he will guarantee nirvana to everyone, irrespective of sex or varna. So even the Shudras and women could attain nirvana by following the Eightfold Path or Ashtangika Marga. So far, so good. All of you, are you clear with me? Whatever I have discussed till now, any doubts, any clarification required? All of you, is it clear? Can you please raise your hand? Okay, thank you. Can I move on? Okay, let's move on. So then let us understand what is nirvana. What is nirvana? So Buddha said he will guarantee nirvana to everyone if they follow the Eightfold Path diligently, strictly. Now, nirvana understand this, doesn't mean physical death. So that's the first thing you have to remember is this. It does not mean physical death. It does not mean physical death. Then what is nirvana? It is the death of your ego, the sense of I-ness, desire, attachment, greed, anger, pride. When you get rid of all these things, it is nirvana, according to Buddha. So it literally means blowing out, the dying out or extinction of desire, attachment, greed, hatred, ignorance, and a sense of I-ness. I-ness is ego. Ego. It also means freedom, self-mastery, emancipation, and breaking out of the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. So here, Buddha is promising nirvana to a person in his lifetime. In Vedic religion, what was the case? A person can attain moksha only after his death. Isn't it? Moksha is after death. A person can attain moksha after his death. Whereas Buddha promised nirvana in one's lifetime. In one's life. In one's lifetime. You don't need to die to attain nirvana. Even when you're living in this life, you can enjoy or attain nirvana. Right? That's called nirvana. Let's move on. So let us look at the other ideas of the Buddha. What are the other ideas of the Buddha? First of all, transmigration of souls. So stop me if you're not able to understand, you want to ask any doubts, ask me directly. Okay. So I'll keep going in a flow. If you have any doubts, please ask me. We'll come back here. So what are the other ideas of the Buddha? Transmigration of souls. What is this transmigration of souls? That is, when a person dies, it is only the death of the physical body. So when a person dies, for example, if there's a person called A, okay, there's a person called A, he dies. This is only the death of his physical body. Only the physical body dies. Whereas the soul or Atma is permanent. Atma is permanent. It doesn't have any death. The Atma or soul has no death. But then, since if a person has done a lot of wrongs in his previous births, in his previous life or previous births, he has done a lot of wrong, then he has to square off his karmic debts. That is, in a scale, take a weighing scale, okay? So 1 kg rice and you want to buy 1 kg sugar in the market and you have 1 kg equal amount of weight put on the opposite scale. Only when that is equal, you will buy it from the shopkeeper, right? Similarly, if a person has done a lot of bad things, crime, murder, etc., all sorts of illegal things in his previous births, his bad karmas are more. His bad karmas are more, right? And his good karmas are less. So Buddha says that person has to take repeated births on this earth until he is able to square off his karmic debts, where the good and the bad are equal. Only then he'll attain moksha. Only then he'll attain nirvana. So if somebody has committed a lot of wrongs in his previous births, first of all, he has to stop doing bad things in his subsequent births, even that birth and subsequent births, and keep on doing only good. Okay, and then when there is a stage where his good and bad are equal, then he'll attain nirvana. Did you get me? That is called transmigration of souls. So when a person dies, it's only the death of the physical body. The atma or soul remains permanent. It doesn't die. And a person, until he squares off his karmic debts, has to take repeated births on this earth. So please understand, these are all part of Upanishadic teachings. These are all part of Upanishadic teachings. And both Buddha and Mahavira, Buddhism and Jainism, are called the two rebellious daughters of Hinduism. Both Buddhism and Jainism are called the two rebellious daughters of Hinduism. In other words, Buddhism and Jainism only condemn the corrupt practices, the corruptions which are crept into the Vedic religion, right? They only condemn the corruptions. So many of these teachings are Upanishadic teachings borrowed by Buddha. So transmigration of souls. Are you there with me? Transmigration of souls. Are you clear? Can I move on? Next. Can you raise your hands? Okay, transmigration of souls. Then we come to Karma Siddhanta. What is Karma Siddhanta? If you do bad things will happen to you. If you do good things will happen to you. Karma Siddhanta. जैसे करोगे वैसे भरोगे. जैसे करोगे वैसे भरोगे. That is, if you do good, good things will happen to you. If you do bad, bad things will happen to you. That is karma siddhanta. Next, patichya samutpada. Patichya samutpada. That is dependent origination in English. In other words, cause and effect theory. Cause and effect. Cause and effect theory. For every cause, there's an effect. And for every effect, there has to be a cause. For every cause, there's an effect. And for every effect, there has to be a cause. That is called dependent origination or patichya samutpada. Agnostic. I already told you this. Buddha never denied the presence of God. Neither did he say that God exists. He totally ignored the question of God. Ignored the question of God, whether God exists or not. He never said yes, neither did he say no. That's why Buddha is called agnostic. And then he believed in ahimsa, non-violence. He believed in non-violence, ahimsa. So you might wonder, if he believed in non-violence, how did Buddha eat pork? This question might obviously arise in your minds. How did he eat pork? Did he mistake pork for mushroom and think he was eating mushroom? No, no, definitely he knew he was eating pork, but we'll come to that in some time. Just hold on. Right? Now he believed, he believed in non-violence, ahimsa, janma, birth, punarjanma, rebirth. So he believed in ahimsa, janma, and punarjanma. Clear? So let us look at other aspects of Buddhism here. So Buddha established a Sangha. The monastic order established by the Buddha is called Sangha. So Sangha, what is the Sangha? Sangha is the monastic order. Sangha was the monastic order established by the Buddha. You can call the Sangha as the earliest church in world history. We can call the Sangha as the earliest church in world history. Earliest church in world history. What's a church? A church is a voluntary association of monks and nuns. A church is a voluntary association of monks and nuns. So in that sense, the Sangha can be called as the earliest church in world history. It was a voluntary association of monks and nuns. So Sangha is the monastic order established by the Buddha. And I told you the first 6 members were the 5 former accomplices of the Buddha and Yashas. These are the earliest members of the Sangha. Kondana, Vappa, Bhadia, Mahanama, Asagi, and Yashas. They became the earliest members of the Sangha. And Yashas's mother became the first female member of the Sangha. Now, please understand, Buddha initially did not allow women into the Sangha. So, I think it was Dinesh. Dinesh was the one who was asking this question. Was it Dinesh? Dinesh, I think you were the one. Or Dinesh? Hello? So here, yeah, correct, na? So here, we'll come back here. See, um, so here, Buddha initially did not want to allow women into the Sangha. He was the one who made rules and regulations for the Sangha. And initially, he denied permission for women to enter the Sangha. He never gave membership to the women. But Ananda was very, very persistent, insistent. Ananda, favorite disciple of the Buddha. Please allow women into the Sangha, make it co-ed, all those things. And Buddha had reprimanded him many times, because Buddha was dead against it. But then Ananda did not keep quiet. He kept on eating Buddha's head, persisting. He wanted women to be allowed into the Sangha. And then Ananda also went and complained to Buddha's stepmother, that is Mahapajapati Gautami. So he went and told her, please tell your son to allow women into the Sangha. And at last, Buddha relented. He agreed. But then Buddha gave a prophecy. Buddha gave a prophecy. What is the prophecy he gave? He said, my religion would have last. Understand this, please. Now, don't get me wrong here, but understand Buddha's words here. My religion would have lasted for 1,000 years. My religion would have lasted for 1,000 years. But now, with women being allowed into the Sangha, it will last for only 500 years. This is Buddha's prophecy. And this prophecy is supposed to become true. What is prophecy? Something is told and that becomes true in future. Something is already told and that becomes true in future. So Buddha said, my religion would have lasted for how many years? 1,000 years. But now, with women being allowed into the Sangha, it will last for only 500 years. Now, please don't get Buddha wrong here. It was not that Buddha was against women. It was not that Buddha was against women. He had no faith in the monks. Buddha had no faith in the monks. Do you understand? Buddha had no faith in the monks. In the monks. Did you understand here, all of you? So it was not that Buddha disliked women. He only had no faith in the monks, the Buddhist monks. And what happened is that in course of time, Buddhism became very, very popular. Buddhism became very popular in course of time. You have kings, merchants, who made very generous donations to the sanghas and viharas. And many of them joined the sanghas. Many of them joined the sangha with ulterior motives, with questionable motives. And in course of time, so what was the duty of the monks and the nuns? The duty of the monks are called bhikshu or bhikkhu, bhikshu or bhikshus. And nuns were called bhikkhuni or bhikshuni. So the duty of the monks and the nuns was to go from place to place and propagate the teachings of the Buddha, to spread the teachings of the Buddha. That was the duty of the monks and the nuns, bhikshus and bhikshunis. But many of these bhikshus and bhikshunis joined the Sangha with questionable motives, with questionable intentions. And as a result, in course of time, a lot of corruptions crept into the Sangha. And Buddha had anticipated this. And that's why he did not want to allow women into the Sangha. Not that he was against women, but he was against the monks. He had no faith in the monks. Did you get me that? Hello, all of you. Hello, are you there with me? Can you raise your hands? Yeah. Vanessa. Okay. So, did you get me? Okay. So because it is it's the men who go and ask phone number and all that, of females. The girl will not ask. It's the guys who go and ask all those things. So Buddha had anticipated all these things. Monks will become very ambitious. If women are in the Sangha, it will disturb their focus and concentration, and it will spoil the entire atmosphere of the Sangha. Let us not have women. That was Buddha's understanding. But Ananda kept on persisting. But that prophecy was not came to. No. Prophecy became true, Sai Krishna. In course of time, a lot of corruptions crept into the Sangha because, monks are also humans, So monks are also humans, and you have beautiful nuns in the next building. So, got disturbed. Men can get disturbed. Why Vishwamitra got disturbed by Menaka, isn't it? I've told you the story. So like that, many of the monks became distracted. Yeah, in course of time, Buddhism declined. That is true. One of the reasons is this. We'll come to that when we come to the decline of Buddhism. We'll talk about it. Okay, now look here. So let us understand rules of the Sangha. So who are the bhikshus and bhikshunis? Full-time members of the Sangha. You can see on your screen, bhikkhu. So our bhikkhu is the monk, or bhikshu, and bhikkhuni is the nun. These are the full-time members of the Sangha. Monks, and bhikkhu is monk, nun is a bhikkhuni. Now, who is a upasaka and a upasika? Understand this. Upasaka, upasika. UPSC question this was. Upasaka. Who is a upasaka? Now imagine this. I follow the teachings of the Buddha. Imagine this. We all of us follow the teachings of the Buddha, but we are not part of the Sangha. No, we have not taken any monastic vows. If you join the Sangha, you are supposed to be you're supposed to be a brahmachari. That is, you are not supposed to marry. You have to shave your head. You are supposed to follow the rules of the Sangha, etc., etc. And you are a full-time member of the Sangha. You stay in the viharas, and you always engage in yourself in spiritual pursuits. So who is the upasaka and upasika? I also, let us say all of us follow the teachings of the Buddha. We are not part of the Sangha. So the male counterpart is called upasaka, lay follower, male lay follower, male lay follower. That is, who is not a member of the Sangha. He is called upasaka. And female counterpart is called upasika, female lay follower. Female lay follower is called upasika. Are you there with me? Hello? Can you raise your hands? So Buddha's prophecy, I've already told you. He said my religion would have lasted for 1,000 years, but now with women being allowed into the Sangha, it will last for only 500 years. Can I move on? Yeah, lay means common people. Yeah, you're right, Nikki Kennedy. Lay means common people who are not part of the Sangha. So male lay followers were called upasaka, female lay followers were called upasika. Now, Buddha made certain rules and regulations as to who can become a member of the Sangha. So Buddha laid down certain rules and regulations. Who are the people prohibited from the Sangha? So who are the people prohibited from entering the Sangha? Number one, minors. Minors are not allowed. That is less than 15 years. Less than 15 years, not allowed into Sangha. Minors. Number two, debtors or insolvents. Number three, deceased. So minors were not allowed, debtors or insolvents were not allowed, diseased people were not allowed. Number two, four, soldiers without the permission of the king not allowed. Soldiers without permission of king. Number five, slaves without the permission of their masters were not allowed. Then number six, women. Women who were pregnant. So I'll write this way: pregnant women not allowed. Pregnant women were not allowed. Then um, women of unweaned children. Women of unweaned children not allowed. Then women without permission of father or husband. Of father or husband Not allowed. If she is unmarried, then she has to seek the permission of her father. If she is married, then she is supposed to take permission from her husband. And if the husband says he doesn't give permission, then she cannot join the Sangha. So, uh, pregnant women, women of unweaned children. What is the meaning of unweaned? I'll come to that. Women without permission of their father or husband. And number 9, women who always associate with men. With men. Women who always associate with men. These are the various people not allowed into Sangha. Minors, less than 15 years. Debtors, insolvents. That is, somebody has taken a loan, okay? Somebody has taken a loan from money lender and he has not returned that loan. And he feels that he can come and join the Sangha. Not allowed. First, let him clear his loan and then he can come and join the Sangha. Because many of the Gahapatis, rich landlords, money lenders, they were all donators to the Sangha. So Buddha had made this rule, them himself. Diseased. Somebody has got some disease, skin disease, let's say leprosy or tuberculosis. So if he joins the Sangha, during those days, there was no cure for these diseases. Therefore, he might spread it amongst the people living in the Sanghas and Viharas. Therefore, not allowed. Disease. Soldiers, without the permission of their king, not allowed. Tomorrow there's a war and this soldier is afraid of getting killed in the war. So he feels that he'll escape into the Sangha and then avoid going to the war, not allowed. He should seek the king's permission. And only if the king gives permission, then he can join the Sangha. Slaves, without the permission of their masters, not allowed. So these are the various people who were prohibited from joining the Sangha. Are you there with me, all of you? Clear? Number 9. 9 is women who always associate with men. So that is who have more, who are always with men, young men. No, women who always associate with young men. Make that specific, please. Buddha had told this with young men. So they see some women seek the company of men, young men, and such women were not allowed, according to the Buddha. Then women without permission of their father or husband. So these are the rules laid down by the Buddha. Now, when somebody wanted to join the Sangha, that person had to take an oath of loyalty. He was supposed to take an oath of loyalty or fidelity to the Sangha. Fidelity to the Buddha Dhamma Sangha. Buddha Dhamma and Sangha. So he was supposed to take an oath of loyalty or fidelity to the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. That is Buddham Sharanam Gacchami, Dhammam Sharanam Gacchami, Sangham Sharanam Gacchami. So he was supposed to take that oath. Then he was given 3 pairs of yellow robes, 3 sets of yellow robes, 3 set yellow robes. Okay, so he will wear one and he'll keep 2 as spare. Number 3, he was given a razor, okay, a begging bowl, begging bowl, a water strainer, a needle, so 3 set yellow robes, razor, begging bowl, water strainer, needle, and a belt. So belt, right? So these are the things which a new recruit was given to when he joins the Sangha. 3 set of yellow robes, a razor. Why razor? To shave his beard and head. Because monks are supposed to be bald, isn't it? So they are supposed to shave their head, both on the face and on the head. Begging bowl was given. Why begging bowl? Because begging was recommended. Why begging was recommended by the Buddha? Hello? Why begging was recommended? Can you understand this part? Begging bowl. So why was begging recommended? Are Shilpa, how smart? Food, obviously. He was supposed to beg his food and eat. But why begging? Gia, very good, Gia. She's hit the bullseye. Gia, to reduce the ego of people. So you see, somebody who has got ego will never beg. And therefore, Buddha wanted people to get rid of their ego. If you want to be spiritually evolved, you have to get rid of your ego. And a person who has got high ego is supposedly great distance from God will himself keep a distance from that person, I believe. So therefore begging was recommended, and monks and nuns were supposed to beg and finish their meal before midday. They were supposed to finish their meal before midday, because otherwise if you eat after midday it will lead to heedlessness, laziness. So Buddha believed it will lead to heedlessness. Heedlessness means laziness. And food to be consumed only once in 24 hours. Once in 24 hours, food to be consumed. That to finish it after midday. So why only once in 24 hours? Less food means less energy. More food means more energy. And if you don't use that energy, extra energy, then you will misuse the energy. And the monks and nuns' duty was to go from place to place and propagate the teachings of the Buddha. They don't require so much of energy to go from place to place and spread the teachings of the Buddha. So only more food once in 24 hours, right? Water strainer, a needle. Why needle? Needle along with a string. So if the robe tears, the monk and the nun is supposed to stitch that torn portion of their clothes. So needle for that reason, and a belt. So these are the eight positions. These are the eight positions of a monk and a nun. Three sets of yellow robes. Count this: three sets of yellow robes, a razor, a begging bowl, water strainer. Okay, water strainer, needle, and a belt. Are you there with me? Eight. Three sets yellow robes. Why? Kennedy, one set he'll be wearing. Okay, the monk will be wearing one set, and he'll keep two in reserve. So when he wants to wash whatever he has worn, then he'll wear one of the two sets. And in the rainy season, it will take a lot of time to dry up. The clothes will take a lot of time to dry up. It's raining, so they will be given two sets. So that they have enough time to even dry up their clothes. Kennedy, did you get me? So these are the rules laid down by the Buddha. Come back here. You can see on your screen. Now, what is the duty of the monks and the nuns? Understand this. What was the duty of the monks and the nuns? Their duty was to go from place to place and propagate the teachings of the Buddha. The duty of the monks and the nuns was to go from place to place and spread or propagate Buddha's teachings. Their duty was to spread or propagate Buddha's teachings, except in the rainy season. Understand this, except in the rainy season. And during the rainy season of about 3 to 4 months, the monks and the nuns can take rest, and that's called Vassa. That's called Vassa, Vassa. Vassa. What is Vassa? Retreatment of monks. Vassa is a retreatment of monks. Retreatment of monks and nuns. So that's called Vassa. So why Buddha gave them rest during the rainy season? Vassa. So monks and nuns will retreat to the viharas. They'll go and stay in the viharas. They will not travel during the rainy season. Why? Because it's raining heavily. They have to cross streams and rivers, and they may be carried away in the current. Monks and nuns might slip and fall and break their bones. They might get injured or even killed. So because of all these reasons, to avoid all these accidents from happening during the rainy season, monks and nuns could take rest in the rainy season, and that is called Vassa, retreatment of monks and nuns. For about 3 or 4 months, they will take rest in the viharas. Now, Buddha also knew that an idle mind is a devil's workshop. An idle mind is a devil's workshop. Monks and nuns do not have much work in the rainy season. They are taking rest in the viharas. What's a vihara? It's a monastery, a cave. So cave in which the monks and nuns will sleep. So there is a separate cave for the monks, separate caves for the nuns. Don't think it is co-ed, so they have to stay separately. Now, Buddha also knew that an idle mind is a devil's workshop. So when they don't have much work, some of the monks and nuns might digress from the original rules laid down by the Buddha. They might break the rules of the Sangha. For example, instead of eating once, I told you monks and nuns were allowed to eat only once in 24 hours. So some monk or nun might have eaten for, let's say, 10 days, 15 days, 3 times in a day. So 3 times in a day for 15 days continuously, that person has had 2-3 meals in a day, and he has broken the rules of the Sangha that way. So at the end of the rainy season, at the end of the Vassa period, there was a confession ceremony. And that confession ceremony was called Pavarala. That confession ceremony was called Pavarala, sometimes also called Uposata or Upavasata. So you can see on your screen, Pavarala, Davaraya, Pavarala, Uposata, Upavasata. Davaraya, Pavarala, Uposata, or Upavasata. This was a confession ceremony. Davaraya or Pavarala. So monks and nuns were supposed to confess. Confession ceremony. So they were supposed to confess if they have broken the rules of the Sangha. And punishment was accordingly given. Punishment was accordingly given by the senior monks. Okay, that's called Davaraya, Davara or Pavarala. Confession ceremony. Are you there with me? And then you have also the monks who elected the Sanghathera and the Sangha Parinayaka. Sanghathera means president of the Sangha. Sanghathera or Sangha Parinayaka. And so monks elected by means of wooden sticks called Salaka. So they elected with the help of wooden sticks called Salaka. Wooden sticks were called Salaka. So this is the Sanghathera, Sanghaparana. So it was elections were done by or voting took place with the help of wooden sticks called Salaka. So only monks participated in these elections to elect the Sanghathera and the Sangha Parinayaka. That is, Sanghathera is a Sangha president. Sanghathera means Sangha president. Are you there with me, all of you? Can you raise your hands? Any doubts? Any questions? Any doubts? Any clarifications? Hello. Can you raise your hands? Am I audible, visible? Third point, can't understand. Kennedy, third point is which one? Yeah, Sanghathera or Sangha Parinayaka. Yeah, you're right, Jia. Sanghathera or Sangha Parinayaka. President of the Sangha. Third point is which one? Vassa. Vassa is the retreatment of monks in the rainy season. Kennedy, they will retreat them. They will go and take rest in the rainy season. 3 or 4 months it is raining heavily. So they will go and stay in the viharas. That's called Vassa, retreatment of monks. Kennedy, are you there with me? And then at the end of the Vassa period, there was a confession ceremony. In case the monks and nuns, nuns were not allowed to vote. If monks and nuns have broken some of the rules, then they are supposed to confess. And accordingly, punishment was meted out to them. That's called Pavaraya Pavarala, Davaraya, Uposata, Upavasata. Confession ceremony. Kennedy, I have already explained. Did you get me that? So, Vassa is retreatment of monks in the rainy season. Okay, so they'll take rest in the rainy season. And Davaraya, Pavarala, Uposata, Upavasata, where all words denote confession ceremony of the monks and the nuns. Kennedy, are you there with me? Kennedy has so many doubts. Is it clear, Kennedy? Okay. Now, before we go for a break, look here. Now, I told you that monks and nuns were supposed to beg their food. They're supposed to beg their food and eat. Now, why did Buddha and Ananda consume pork? Though Buddha spoke about ahimsa, non-violence, why did they consume pork? Now, please understand, these are rules made by the Buddha himself. Now, when a monk or a nun goes to the nearby village or town or city for begging, he will stand before somebody's house. Let's say this is a house. This is a house. Okay, there's somebody's house here. So he has gone there. This is the house. And a lady comes out. The monk is standing here, okay, asking for food in his bowl. This is his bowl. He's carrying his bowl here. And the lady comes out. So this is the lady. Okay, so this is the lady. She comes out. And she offers him, let's say, mutton and chicken. So she offers him chicken and fish. Now, this monk doesn't know what has been cooked in that house. He has gone before that house and he has asked for bhiksha. That is, bhiksha is, begging, food. He's asked for bhiksha or, offering. And a lady comes out and she offers him some chicken and fish or some mutton and fish. That the monk can consume because the monk doesn't know what has been cooked in that house. She has cooked that day some non-vegetarian food. She comes and offers that to the monk. But if that lady says, sir, please come tomorrow, for specifically you, I will kill a sheep or a goat or a bird. I'll kill a chicken or a sheep and then I'll feed you. Then that is himsa. Now, Chunda already had cooked pork in his house. Buddha and Ananda did not know about it. And Chunda invited them to come and have food in his house. They accepted the invitation. They went there and they sat down on the floor. He served them pork and they ate it. So that's the reason why they consume pork. Did you understand? If Chunda had told Buddha and Ananda, please come tomorrow, I'll kill a goat for you specifically. That type of killing is not allowed in Buddhism because an animal or a bird is specifically going to be killed to serve that monk or nun. Not allowed. But by chance, already non-veg has been cooked and the monk and the nun did not know about it. And then that food is served, then they can consume it. Did you get me that? Clear? All of you, can you raise your hands before we go for a break? Okay, so I think I've overshot so we'll go for a 20 minutes break. Now it is 5:44, 5:45, we'll meet at 6:10. Meet at 6:10. 6:10 we'll meet, sorry, 6:05, we'll meet at 6:05. 6:05 p.m., 6:05. 20 minutes break. So go take a 20 minutes break and come back. Okay, we'll continue the story of Buddhism. Still a lot of things to cover. It's a huge topic. We'll come back. Okay, in 20 minutes we are back, all of us. Carry on.